Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Friday, June 5th, 2009. I was asked a question during a chatback session yesterday about working with databases at the lowest level, EXDI basically. Now I'm going to say right up front, if you're working with databases for a big application, it's probably better to use glorp and active record than to use something this low level, but since I was asked, and I have done some work with databases at this level for querying in Smalltalk Daily, let's cover the other side of it and cover inserting and updating. The first thing you need to do is take your database in question. In this case, I'm going to be using Postgres, but you could be using MySQL, you could be using Oracle, you could be using SQL Server. I'm just using this because I have it, so I'm going to connect to it by handing it a username, my environment, and then connecting with the password, and then finally I'm going to get a session to allow me to work with it. So that all should work. Now once I've done that, here's how I create an object and put it in the database. Now if you just want to generate the raw SQL, you go out and find how an insert statement works and generate that into a stream, you can do that too. But if you want to bind objects into the database, so create, say, a note object and then stuff it into the database, and here I'll show you what this is going to look like. Here I have my database, I'm going to connect to it, and then I'm going to execute select star from notes, and here I see that I have an ID, a description, a created, and a title. Let's disconnect that. I have those 7 things in it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new note, give it an ID of 8, give it a description, created, and a title. Then I'm going to prepare an insert statement. I'm going to tell it I'm going to hand it these 4 things with the values, and here's the bindings, :ID, description, and so on. And then I'm going to do this, session bind input note. And what that will do is it'll take this and turn it into a standard insert statement as you would expect from standard SQL. Then when I execute it, it'll put it in the database. We'll get the answer, and then we'll disconnect. So let's do that. The answer is going to be kind of a no-op in this case because there's no answer unless there's an error. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll come over here and look. Let's do a connect, and we'll do that. We'll execute, and there's my item right there. So I've added it in. Note this date created June 5th because I said date today. What I'm going to do is disconnect that, and then we're going to go over here, and I'm going to update that row. So I'm going to take the notes created and update that to add days 1 so that it's tomorrow. Connect, get the session. Then I'm going to prepare a SQL statement. This is just standard SQL here, but I'm using this concatenation to throw in the new date. And then I'm going to execute it. So let's do that. And that should work. So let's go over here and execute. Notice this was June 5th. Connect. Execute. Now it says June 6th. Push that aside. Now finally, since I don't want that sitting in my database, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect. I'm going to connect rather, and I'm going to delete it. So I'm just going to say prepare delete from notes where ID equal 8. And then I'm just going to toss that at the database. Do that. And now we'll do an execute again, and see it's gone. So that's pretty much all there is to it. So with this little bit of code, you can connect to a database, you can insert things into it by binding input, and of course if you just want to use straight SQL, you can do that too. You can generate that by hand. You could write code to do that. I've certainly done it myself. But this is kind of convenient if you have some domain objects and you just want to throw them into the database. And note that it gives you the flexibility to have more instance variables in your domain object than are going to go into the database because you specify which ones to bind. If you don't specify them in this insertion statement here, they won't get bound and they're irrelevant. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.